Step 2 in problem solving is always find relations. We're going to use the picture that we have and find the relations that exist between the variables in the picture. So let's look at our picture and think about the story. We have Adam. He goes along A, and then he goes along B, and then he goes along C and ends up back where we started. And so we know how to write that in math. So Adam goes along A, and then, that's vector addition, goes along B, and then he goes along C, and he ends up where he started, which is the origin. So that's 0. So there you go. This is the relation between the variables that are in my picture. Okay? The key thing here is that this is a vector equation. So it's not really one equation, it's one equation per component. We're going to have an equation here for the x-axis, which is ax plus bx plus cx is equal to 0, and one equation for the y-axis, a sub y plus b sub y plus c sub y is equal to 0. Well, let's look at the x-axis. What is the x component of the vector a? Well, all of a is along the x-axis, so the x component of the vector a is just a. All of a is along the x-axis, so it's going to be a plus the x component of b. Well, so here's b, and so I want the x component, so it's going to be the component along the x-axis. So let's go ahead and let's maybe move this little east here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to decompose this vector b. Let's do it in red here. I'm going to decompose this vector b into the x component bx and the y component by. And notice, what's the x component? Well, bx divided by b is going to be cosine theta, right? So let's go ahead and write that down, in fact. So bx divided by b is equal to cosine theta, and so that means that the x component is going to be b times cosine theta, right? And then plus cx. Well, cx is something that I don't know, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Cx is equal to 0. For the y, is very similar. The y component of the vector a, well, that's 0 because the vector a is along the x-axis. So I'm going to have 0 plus the y component of the vector b, very similar to what we did before, is going to be b times sine theta. So it is the opposite. This side is the opposite of the angle, so we're going to use sine. So it's going to be b times sine theta, that's going to be by, plus cy. And I don't know what cy is, so I just leave it at that, and this is equal to 0. And so this, at the end of the day, are the relations that I need to have, right? This is I have found all of the relations between everything that appears in my picture.